Thursdays, and now we're about to have a conversation about a recent donation. The Tobago's tourism-oriented police section was gifted 12 electric bikes and a charging station from the Embassy of the United States, and also a charging station from the American Chamber of Commerce. This morning, we're speaking to Senior Superintendent about these donations and what else is possibly to come for Tobago. Senior Superintendent Junior Benjamin, good morning.
A pleasant morning to you and to all those that are listening. Thank you so very much for having me.
Thank you so much for being with us on the show this morning. So, this conversation, of course, I know a lot of people have been interested to hear exactly how this started. So were you aware that this donation would have been coming from the embassy and from the American Chamber of Commerce in Trinidad?
Yes, let me just say this started even long before that, before I came here as the senior superintendent. ACP Nurse, who would have been very instrumental in ensuring that at least the beginning and also most of the process was done under his tenure here as the ACP in charge of Tobago, was really one of the key persons that really made this happen. And again, we want to just say a special thanks to all those who really contributed, because it is something that we believe will help us in our active directive patrols here in Tobago and also make us even more effective as police officers in the island.
Now, definitely. Now, that's one of the questions, of course, we need to ask is how is this going to assist in patrolling, if it's going to assist at all?
Well, when we look at the topography of Tobago, we recognize that Tobago is very much a tourist-oriented island. And therefore, we have a lot of beaches. We have a lot of sites that persons would go. These sites sometimes are placed in some or perched in some areas that vehicles might not be able to traverse. We believe that the bikes certainly would help us in that regard. And it also gives us ability to at least respond in a faster manner, especially where our tourist is concerned. So far, we're really seeing a more forward drive, because our officers are now going to be even more healthy as they continue to drive or to ride these bikes. So certainly this is something that we know will help us. In the past, this is nothing new to us necessarily, because we would have had a bicycle unit I think it's 2002. And then we started the tourism-oriented police in 2015. So again, these officers are well trained, and we know that again, what we have to do would only be a greater effectiveness, or if give us greater that greater efficiency, so that we can be able to deal with the crime situation here in Tobago.
Now, definitely, for those of you who are just joining us, you are seeing on the screen right now the receipt of e-bikes from the American Chamber of Commerce and, of course, from the U.S. Embassy. We have with us Senior Superintendent Junior Benjamin. Now, Senior Superintendent, apologies. Question for you, as you mentioned, healthy officers. Is it that there is going to be additional training for this particular branch of your police unit, or are you also going to be training everybody throughout the units in Tobago?
Well, there are persons that are trained already, all right? And we want to continue to equip them with even more training, so that they can be more effective in terms of the ability to be able to execute themselves in such a way if they have to effect an arrest. And again, these officers, as I said, some of them, they were in the tourism-oriented policing for a while. Some of them are instructors. So again, we are going to be using persons who are so trained at this point in time, and eventually as more officers come into the unit, we are going to then train them so that they can also be effective.
Wonderful. Senior Superintendent, perhaps if we could just get a bit more details on the bikes themselves, because, you know, we hear a lot about e-bikes, and we heard some charging stations were donated as well. So can you share with us what makes these so different to those which would have been used before, as you mentioned?
Well, these e-bikes are basically, the difference here is that they come with a booster, And therefore, when an officer pedals, it gives that extra speed. It has different levels. And again, the officer now can move at a faster rate, even from moving from one place to the next with less effort. And therefore, these are really what law enforcement, again, a way they are using it to deal with the crime situation. And we believe that it will help us here in Tobago as we continue the fight, as we seek to really build that relationship with the tourists. We believe they would see us out there. We'll be able to go into those terrains that, again, we might not be able to traverse with our vehicles. But again, the officers now using the e-bikes would be able to, again, traverse, respond in a quicker time. And as I said, with our active directive patrols, we are able to use them in areas throughout the island. And let me just say, there would be one station in the Shervant police station, and also there would be another boosting station at the Roxborough police station. We would have officers at different stations as well in the Mariah station, where they would be able to deal with the northern side of Tobago. We have those in Roxborough that will deal with the eastern side, and also Shervant will deal with the western side. So right around Tobago, we are going to see an all-round, more or less balance in terms of all the areas being serviced with these e-bikes.
It's good to see. This means, of course, we're going to have some very efficient performance, and we're looking forward to seeing that as well. Now, one quick question for you, Senior Superintendent, is when it comes to these bikes, now we know that there's been training, of course, we have charging stations, and as you just mentioned, they are strategically placed throughout the island to ensure there's effective policing. What about the maintenance of bikes? Is that something that we are also prepared for in Tobago?
Yes, certainly. And we are going to, again, liaise with the US and also with our stakeholders here to ensure that these bikes are well maintained. We are not just here to just receive those bikes. Those bikes, we have to account for them. So that therefore, we want to make sure that officers use the bikes and use the bikes effectively. We are going to ensure that even when they use the bike, that there are certain policies that must be done to ensure that when they use it, what they should be doing, so that we can ensure the longevity of these bikes. And at the same time, if anything should happen, we have a special service provider that we would want to go to ensure at all times these bikes give us that quality that we need in order for us to sustain this tourism-oriented policing section.
Thank you so much for sharing the insight when it comes to policy as well, because, you know, many times when we see equipment come in, a lot of people don't realize that everything from the administrative level all the way to the practical level is involved and has to be to ensure that everything runs smoothly. So it's wonderful that you shared that with us this morning on the Now Morning Show. Senior Superintendent, before we close off our conversation, is there anything that you would like to share with Trinidad and Tobago this morning?
Well, again, from the Tobago standpoint, we want to continue to just encourage persons that this is a place to be. From the police standpoint, we are doing pretty well here. When we look at our SRCs, we are doing pretty well compared to last year. We probably just about -1 or 1% more than we had last year. Our murder rate in Tobago right now is -20. So it means that there's a reduction in that regard. And there are so many other crime plans that we have that is continuing to work for us here. We want to just encourage, you know, all that are listening. You know, Tobago seems to be, you know, the place that everybody's coming, and the police service, we are prepared and we are here to ensure law and order. And as we continue to use all our activities to ensure that law and order, we ask persons, when you come, please, let's respect, let's work together, and we would see a greater Trinidad and Tobago, even as we seek to prevent crime and other infractions of the law.
Thank you so much, Senior Superintendent Junior Benjamin, for joining us this morning on the Now Morning Show.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Trinidad and Tobago, stay tuned, because coming up, that surprise artist is about to be with us virtually. Stay tuned.